All right, so tonight we're covering the power of the seal, and the goal is for you to really understand what it is that we do when it comes to notarizing a document and what the seal actually does. So my seal doesn't make a document legal, all right? It makes the signature authentic, which is a big difference, and that's a misconception when it comes to what the public may think that we represent when they're coming with legal documents to be notarized. So, signature authenticity versus document legality. So, signature authenticity, the notary's duty. We are supposed to be governed by the North Carolina General Statutes, Chapter 10B. We confirm that the individual physically appeared in person before the notary, verifies identity via satisfactory evidence, like your driver's license, passport, and then we certify the signer executed the record voluntarily and possessed capacity at the time of signing. When it comes to the document legality, the courts and attorneys' domain, all right, it's a separation. They're governed by contract law, property law, and judicial interpretation. They refer to the terms enforceability, statutory compliance, and legal validity of the text itself. So the key takeaways is a notary seal provides zero guarantee that a document is legally binding or enforceable. It's very important. And again, when it comes to your marketing, content, this is good information to share with your audience so there's clarity when people come across your page, wherever your information is, so they'll know exactly what it is we can and cannot do and what we're considered for versus what an attorney would be used for. So, what your seal actually guarantees. Number one, identity verification. It proves the signer appeared in person and proved who they were through satisfactory evidence. And you can refer to North Carolina General Statutes 10B3. Number two, voluntariness and intent. Certifies the signer acknowledged or swore to the act freely without apparent coercion, intimidation, or duress. There are some situations you will probably find that could easily happen. So it's all about us paying attention to detail, not just the paperwork, but the person before us and anyone around them. So body language, again, speaks to us when people are not verbally saying something. Number three, official authority establishes that the act was performed by an active, commissioned North Carolina Notary Public in good standing. So, what your seal does not do, all right, this is the following list: validate defective terms, does not make an illegal, missing, or defective contract clause binding in North Carolina courts. Two, vouch for content truthfulness. It does not certify or guarantee that the facts inside the document are true, complete, or accurate. Three, cure statutory omissions. Does not fix missing signatures, missing attachments, or improper legal formatting. And number four, provide state endorsement. Does not constitute legal approval, drafting, or endorsement by the state of North Carolina or the Secretary of State. So when it comes to the real world North Carolina case studies, practical scenarios illustrating signature authenticity versus document legality for North Carolina notaries. So we're going to go over some case studies. Number one, the homemade power of attorney. POA, for those of you that are still learning the acronyms, if you see POA, that's what that stands for, is power of attorney in short. So the scenario, a client brings a handwritten power of attorney form missing critical statutory language required in North Carolina. The notary verifies the signer's identity, administers the oath, and affixes the notary seal. When it comes to the next part, the client leaves believing the document is now 100% legal and approved. Again, that's what their thoughts are. So the outcome and the reality of all of this is the bank rejects the power of attorney because it lacks statutory agent authority provisions required under the North Carolina General Statutes Chapter 32C. Now, this chapter is not in our notary manual, all right? It's not in any of the manuals because it's under a different subheading, which is not notaries, but powers of attorney. And it is available online. And so the takeaway is the seal authenticated the signer's signature, but could not cure a legally defective document. Now, these are things I want you to notate when it comes to questions that you may want to actually cover after we finish the presentation tonight. So, when it comes to reflection and engagement, when it comes to managing expectations, how do you respond when a signer says, "Can you stamp this so it becomes legal?" Again, how will you respond to that? All right. And again, I want you to write this down so you can actually think about and be proactive with it. Because if you start um, doing scenarios now, you can be more proactive when something does happen. Verbal scripts. What exact phrasing can you use to explain the difference between verifying identity versus approving legal text? And then the third, client clarity. How does setting expectations up front protect both you and the customer from future misunderstandings? So, case study number 2, the defective deed transfer. The scenario: a husband attempts to transfer marital real estate without his spouse's knowledge or signature and with an incomplete legal description. The notary authenticates the husband's acknowledgement and affixes the seal in proper form. So, the outcome in reality: the deed is recorded, but later challenged and invalidated in court under the North Carolina marital property laws. That's under North Carolina General Statutes 29 through 30. And this is something that I cover briefly in the signing agent class when you're dealing with real estate documents, because again, this happens more often than most people realize. And so the takeaway is the seal authenticated who signed but did not validate the legal transfer of title. So again, we have general statutes that cover so much part of the laws that we have to actually abide by, but many of us are unaware of what those laws are and what they entail until you are in a position like being a notary and understand, oh, general statutes, that is a thing. So yes, there are so many different positions, law enforcement, those that are judges, magistrates, they all have general statutes that they have to apply to. And again, it goes on and on when it comes to medical and all of those things as well. So, when it comes to what I would like for you to again think about, when it comes to the UPL boundary, UPL stands for Unauthorized Practice of Law, again, another acronym. Why must a non lawyer notary refrain from warning a client about missing spousal signatures or missing legal terms? Next question: completeness check. How do you distinguish between checking for blank spaces required versus evaluating document content unauthorized? So, the role neutrality. How does maintaining absolute neutrality protect you from legal liability and property disputes? So, again, these are things that you want to consider may come about when you are working with certain documents with your customer. So, case study 3, the unauthorized practice of law trap. So, the scenario: a small business owner asks a notary to review and tweak a loan contract clause before notarizing it. Eager to help, the notary edits a clause and then affixes their official seal to the completed agreement. Outcome in reality: the contract is contested in court, and the notary is cited for unauthorized practice of law under North Carolina General Statutes 10B-20. Takeaway: a seal cannot legitimize illegal terms or unauthorized legal drafting by a non attorney. And to add to that, you can have your commission completely suspended and revoked because of this. because again, we have to remember what our roles are as a notary public when you're not also a licensed attorney. So I want you again to reflect on these and we can talk more about it. Red flag phrases. What client requests, which form should I use? Is this wording okay? Should immediately trigger a red flag. Mentorship. How can veteran North Carolina notaries guide newer notaries on standing firm against client pressure? This is what this community is about. We all helping each other, supporting each other, and being leaders in the way that we can lead, okay? And followers for those that we're learning from. Because again, eventually you want to actually be that person who can lead as well in this position. Then the standard disclaimer. What simple script can you memorize to politely decline requests to advise or draft? Again, this is going to be very helpful for any of us that come across the general public that is just really trying to get things taken care of with the misconception of what our duties that of what we can do versus what we cannot do. So again, we have to stick to the script of the North Carolina General Statutes of what it says we can and cannot do. So the key takeaways for you as a notary here in North Carolina, again, going through North Carolina General Statutes Chapter 10B. One, you want to have the authenticity first. Your primary legal duty is confirming identity, willingness, capacity, and completing proper certificates. Number two, educate the public. Politely remind signers that your seal authenticates their execution of the document, not the document's legal enforceability. And then avoid unauthorized practice of law. Never select notary certificates for signers, draft legal text, or offer opinions on document validity. So let's go to our audience now so you can actually ask any of the questions that you may. So again, when it comes to supporting yourself and me, please do again subscribe, like, and share this with fellow notaries. Again, I thank you for your support in this way. The more that I have those that are willing to come to our TNTs live and to watch the replays, this is how I can position myself to continue to have this free. But there are going to be those things that you're going to have to invest money and not just time into when it comes to what else I offer. But this is another way of getting to know who I am and what you can expect when you see me in person or on virtual um, trainings and things of this nature. So, again, the goal is to grow together so we can actually help the community that definitely relies on what we do. So, again, like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you guys on our next Tuesday Notary Tune-Up, which is going to be next week.